It's the Archivist, y'all. Exclusively interviewing Sadistik. Straight out of Bellingham, Washington, off those grassroots. And who is Seattle's slept on Sadistik?
I'm an artist that happens to live in Seattle. I don't call myself a local artist, but I love that city. But when it comes to the artist side, I'm more of a nomad. I float around, I try to get everywhere. So we're all family. Home is where the heart is.
And let's go, being from Yakima, Eisenhower High School, loving hip-hop, the foundation from the South and West Coast. Let's hear about it.
Well, growing up, I looked up to my brother a lot, who was 10 years older than me, and I got really into gangsta rap. So one of the first CDs I got was Sibo, Tales from the Crypt. I was getting into like Spice One and like Scarface and like the really G shit at first, and then I like getting into the different niches of hip-hop. I really like that dark East Coast stuff. I was really into Mobb Deep growing up. I was really into Pharoah Monch, that Dirty South stuff, UGK. I like everything from UGK to that No Limit movement, a little bit of everything. But I grew up liking fucking gangsta rap and rappers that I couldn't really relate to, and they were talking about shit that I didn't know anything about, but I just knew it was really cool. And certain rappers I connected to more intellectually and less of a fantasy-esque or like Tupac growing up. I felt like I could connect to things he was saying more than someone like Sibo or whatever. But yeah, growing up in Yakima, and gangster rap was pretty big there, looking back on it.
And off to Central Washington, and then getting a degree in Bachelor Arts in Psychology and Sociology.
Yep,
Elaborate on your outstanding education. Grassroots in Bellingham.
Yeah. I went to college, and I finished my psychology degree like a year early, and I asked them if I could get out early, and my choices were to choose another major or do a bunch of elective stuff. So I decided just to get a degree in sociology too, and it was fun, and I'm glad I did it. I want to eventually get a PhD in psychology one day. I flirt with the idea, and then I always run back to music because it's cooler, more fun.
And the classic masterpiece, The Balancing Act, featuring Vast Air and Mac Lethal, working with Emancipator. Let's hear about your first project back in 2008.
I made this album when I was in Ellensburg, Washington, and it's this small town that's known, the biggest thing it has is a rodeo every year. So it was not my flavor of place, and I made this entire thing in my apartment throughout college. It took me about 3 years. I had no idea what to expect. I had zero connections. I had no friends in music, anything. And I just released it, and the people who latched onto it on the internet seem to latch onto it pretty tightly, and it's just been this slow moving thing. Like it still helps me do this professionally. Like without this, I would need a job. Like you, when you pick this up and you go classic, I was like, yes, that's fucking crazy that someone would say that. But yeah, this album meant the fucking world to me when I made it. I felt like it was like my masterpiece. I put like so much effort into it. But I haven't heard it in a long time, and I'm pretty sure I've heard a song or two, but like I look at it with more critical eyes now, and things I would change, or it's like looking at an old picture of yourself. You're like, oh, I was still okay, but that fucking shirt wasn't working, That's how I feel about that album right now.
And then on to The Art of Dying with Kid Called Computer. Speak on this album and your friendship, connection, and times and moments with Idea.
Alright, I'll tackle those separately. But so this is The Art of Dying. It's technically an EP, but it's 35 minutes. It's kind of epic sounding. But this one meant a lot to me because I wrote a lot of it in a depression, from like a breakup and etc. And I made this with a kid called Computer, and we made it essentially over the phone and the internet. And we both had this like vampire sleep schedule, and so it'd be like 3 a.m. in Seattle. I'd hit him up, which is 5 a.m. in Chicago, and he's like, yeah, of course I'm up working on shit. And we would just talk, and we would talk about like friendship, homie shit, but then I'd be like, oh, those drums sound crazy, this or that, and like It was a really dope process. What's so awesome about Kid Called Computer, and what's makes him unique to work with, and challenging to work with in ways, is he's never satisfied with shit, and I have that too. But like when both people have that, it's like hard to like wrap something up. But I'm really proud of this one. We put a lot of effort into it. Like Bed of Flowers, for example, from when I started writing it to when the song was done was over a year. Not that I worked on it every single day, but it was like a slow, just chiseling, working on the structure. Like it was a really drawn out, like molded project. I'm pretty proud of it. I like the ebb and flow of it. Idea, when he listened to it, he called it prog rap, which I thought was cool. I think that fits this one, which makes sense. Kid Called Computer, he's a little older than me, and he knows a lot more about music than me, and he's really into prog and like the 70s psych rock shit. And so you can kind of hear that coming out of the seams on that one, I think.
And Times and Moments with Idea, I got to interview him in February of 2010, and that was an amazing piece for me that I got to do that.
He was a very charismatic dude. Like when you talk to him, you pay attention, and he always would like just teach you stuff, even if you didn't realize it. You know, he just dropped like an ill fact out of nowhere or something. But yeah, actually, this venue brought back a little bit of memories, because last time I was here was with him on the Art of Dying tour, when I just released that in 2010. But he was cool. He was cool as fuck. His art speaks for itself. I've been very vocal about his influence on me, and that how I appreciated like his catalog, but just on a friendship level, he was just funny. Like that's what I miss. When I watched that Face Candy, I don't know if you saw it, but it came with a DVD of them, like the making of, and just seeing him and Christoph bantering and how dry and witty his humor was, and like it reminded me, I was like, fuck, like he wasn't just a rapper, like he was like an interesting person to be around, you know. At my age, you know, I'm 27 now, it's weird to meet a dude where you're like, this is a guy I want to talk to for a while, like this is someone I want to hold a conversation with. But he was definitely like that. And on that whole tour, I had kind of a shitty sleep schedule again. There's a pattern here. And Idea did too, and so we got some pretty cool, a couple real solid like 5 a.m. heart-to-hearts in, and you know, we'd share all these crazy stories, because he came up, he was like 17, you know, he was so young. But yeah, it was, I see some people online saying like Sadistik's his prodigy or his apprentice and like that. I don't co-sign or say any of that. Like I didn't know him on the level that some other people did. I only knew him for like 2 years, I think, but he did affect me a lot in a short amount of time, and it was a very like genuine relationship, and it was yeah, he was a good friend.
And depression is a major thing for a lot of us. What is your advice to get out of it? Your fans deal with this, and it is a huge level and a big deal.
Man, I don't know how to answer that, because depression is a big theme in my stuff, and I get a lot of messages and emails, or people at shows, or pretty intense stuff where people will for whatever reason feel comfortable sharing these intense stories or situations or thoughts with me, and they'll say like, this is what I'm dealing with, and they felt connected to a certain song or project or whatever, which I guess inclines them to reach out to me, and I just never know what to say. I feel that it's overlooked. I still think people see it as something avoidable, something that people could help, or they're just, you know, you can't take a pill to get happy. I think a lot of people see it in a pretty naive way, and I just kind of feel for people that I think they feel isolated and alone, which is probably why they email me. But I guess they're not alone. Like, it's a lot of that idea line. I'm lonely, but everybody's lonely, so at least I know I'm not alone. That shit. But yeah, I don't know. The only thing I have is don't hurt yourself. That's when shit gets out of control. That's when people's brains get a little too damaging.
And pray for paralysis. F to the I to the X with Christoph Crane, a more alternative record. What else inspired, and how was this response from it?
It was because of him that Christoph and I met, and we hit it off, and Idea knew we hit it off. Like, he kind of like choreographed that.
Right.
But that album was just fun. We went to Europe on some like Nose to the Grindstone shit a few years ago when I was in a very different place in my career, and I was just like, let's make an album. Let's just do it on the spot, figure this out, and digging through a few different producers' beats that they would send us, and then he showed me Graham O'Brien, and I was like, this is it, this is the sound. And so we wrote the whole thing on tour. So we decided on Graham O'Brien in Europe, then we went on a 56-day like super indie tour. Like, there were days where I slept outside type shit, and we wrote it on that tour, and then we recorded it in like 2 days in my bedroom, just wasted off Jameson, and we had a lot of fun. And it's just like a fun side project. I'm proud of it. It's not something I like introduce people to my work with, but I think the people who like that kind of sound seem to hold it pretty close.
Also, a little bonus for the fans to know what's going on with your music.
Yeah.
And tattoos. Your fans are incredible and amazingly dedicated. We love to hear about the body art. Share with us some of your experiences from the fans.
I've seen some crazy tattoos, and I still don't know how to I just say thank you. But yeah, a lot of people have decided to get my lyrics or album covers tattooed on them. I've seen some pretty huge ones. Yeah, shout out to those people. Some people are crazy. I'll be at a show, someone will run up, start pulling their shirt up, and I'm like, what the fuck? And then I look, oh, okay, there's a lyric. And it's like I've had some people have some crazy introductions. Yeah.
And here it is, Flowers for My Father. Working with Blue Sky, Black Death, K&O, A Long Winter, Seven Devils, Save Yourself in a Bed of Flowers, Save Yourself with Aesop Rock, another masterpiece. Speak on your latest album with Chesky, Astronautilus, and Deacon the Villain.
Flowers for My Father is technically my sophomore album. My father passed away right at the end of making The Balancing Act, and so after that, the two projects we just talked about, I didn't have full creative control over. I was working with someone else, so I didn't feel ready to like look at that yet with my art. And so this was everything. It's not specifically about my father, but I kind of wanted to view it as like an update to him, how my life's been, because he passed away right before I graduated from college, right before I decided to do music professionally, right before The Balancing Act came out. Like he passed away right before. It was just a huge turning point in my life. So that was kind of my update to him, and I tried to make it a personal album. I tried to approach it kind of like in a vulnerable way, like I did The Balancing Act. But yeah,
it was beautiful.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, and I got to work with some really talented fucking people on it. Like, some of those are like dream collabs for me. Like, a Blue Sky Black Death beat with Cage on it. That's like some shit I would just like make up in my head that I wish I could do. So I got a lot of people to help form ideas the way I wanted them. So.
A music video, City in Amber, Russian Roulette with Cage, Michael, Higher Brain featuring Christoph Crane. Let us know.
I mean, as people seem to know now, like, I'm a huge film fan. I love horror movies. I love like old angry movies and weird shit. And so I get excited when I get to be involved in videos. It's like every athlete wants to be a rapper, every rapper wants to be a rock star, every blah blah blah. Like me, I'm a rapper that I wish I was a director. That's what my pipe dream is. But, so I've gotten to write the majority of my videos, and I've gotten to direct a lot of them at varying levels. Now, these new videos coming out for my new record, I actually shot and lit and edited myself, like, from the bottom up, you know. So I'm getting a little more confident in my self-efficacy, and it's going up. I just want to make little horror films and rap over them. So I got a lot of ideas. I'm starting to feel like I can make them happen easier now.
Incredible. And first poetry book coming, Ultraviolet with Tech Nine, Firing Squad with Chesky.
Yeah.
Let us know about the album.
On this new one, it's called Ultraviolet. I think it's my best album yet, and I'm not just saying it. It's definitely the one I would bump the most. I feel like it's an accurate thing of what I'm hearing in my head, and I got some amazing features on it. There's a song with Tech Nine, my song with Ideas on that, so people finally get to hear that. But yeah, I'm excited for people to hear it. The videos I wrote for it, everything's very purposeful. I want it to, I think when it's released, it'll make sense to people.
And a big long list, but South by Southwest, Fake 4 Showcase, Micah 9 and Factor, Cage, Tone Deaf, opening for Tech 9, Bone Thugs, Grouch and Zion I, Big Boy, Lupe Fiasco, all across the USA and 9 countries in Europe. The best tour and largest crowd you've ever rocked.
The best tour. Shit. This tour's going pretty well so far. I like this. The last 4 shows have sold out. That's not normal for me. The biggest crowds. I mean, I've opening like you're saying, Tech Nine and Lupe. I've had some big ones or like festivals, but sometimes the smaller shows are better. It really depends on how present people are. Sometimes shows with 50 people who are completely in the moment and completely like there for my music or open to it can be better than rapping for 500 people that are just chilling or like fanning you off with their hand and then they forget who the fuck you are in 5 minutes. So it just varies. There's an energy. Sometimes you could shift it. Sometimes I could read the energy and try to like sway it a certain way or try to make more jokes or push something this way. But sometimes there's an energy and it's just like, I can't break it. This is how the fucking crowd feels tonight.
And your best hip-hop memory you've been part of or contributed to?
Best hip-hop memory? Fuck. I've had some good ones, man. I fucking got to rap at a sold-out show on a boat in France. I got to like rap by the Pyrenees Mountains and shit. I gotta perform for that Face Candy show at Soundset while Big Boy is on the other stage. That was pretty cool. I don't know. I've gotten to meet and actually become friends with a lot of people that I viewed as heroes or a direct influence. So I would say it's more of a culmination of that, Because at one point I was 17 years old watching Idea and Abilities open for Atmosphere, and then we became friends. At one point, I remember bringing an ex-girlfriend to a Sage Francis show and like wanting to shake his hand, and now he brought me up stage to like rap with him, and like we did a song together and shit like that. Like just, not that I need anybody's approval or anything like that to do what I do, but it's nice. Like people that have influenced me and people that I've looked up to, respecting me or becoming friends with me is a blessing. It's pretty cool.
And the last run with the Cunning Linguists in Canada.
Yeah, that shit was awesome. That was a really fun tour. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. We all get along. All the shows were fun. It was cold as fuck, but it was dope. That was my first Canadian run. So.
And you got anything to say to Canada?
Yeah, I love Canada, and I feel like there's this weird epidemic going around where all these like really beautiful girls are latched onto these really goofy looking like, who the fuck is this guy? Especially in Montreal. Do you know what I'm talking about? Am I crazy here? Vancouver's the same way. There are like gorgeous women everywhere in Vancouver, and they're so approachable. But I noticed that about Canada. Yeah, the guy's got it made out there. Yeah, you're cleaning up, dude.
And you got any shouts?
Any shouts? Shout out to Alejandro Jodorowsky, David Lynch, Stanley Kubrick, Hieronymus Bosch, Fake 4, SIBO, the Cunning Linguists. Shoutouts, whoever meant to shout outs.
And shouts to Sadistik, Fake 4, and this is the Archivist, and you already know the name, y'all.